Who would have guessed that two teenagers flipping burgers at a Burger King in Sweden would one day build a $17 billion company and ring the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange? This is the strange origin of Klarna. One of those teenagers was Sebastian Siemiatkowski, the son of Polish immigrants. His father had been a vet back in Poland, but in Sweden, the only work he could find was driving a taxi. His family was so poor they'd sometimes go a week eating only pancakes. So at 15, Sebastian took a job at Burger King, and on the other side of the assembly line, he met Niklas. The two became close friends, and years later they both ended up at the Stockholm School of Economics, where a third guy joined the crew, Victor. Around that time, Sebastian was also working part-time at a debt collection firm, watching online payments fail every single day. And that's where the idea hit them. What if people could buy things online now and pay later? In 2005, the three of them entered their school's startup competition with an idea they called Creditor. The jury was no joke. The chairman of H&M, the head of one of Sweden's biggest banks, and the king of Sweden himself were all sitting in the front row. They gave their pitch and finished dead last. The banker on the jury just waved the whole thing away. The banks will take care of that themselves. But as they were walking off the stage defeated, a stranger came up to Sebastian and told him, "I don't care what those guys said, just go for it. The banks will never understand what happened." Sebastian never found out who that man was. But 20 years later, he still brings him up in almost every interview. A few months later, an angel investor believed in them enough to write a €60,000 check. On April 10, 2005, at 6 minutes past 11 in the morning, the first Klarna transaction in history went through, at a tiny bookshop in Stockholm. It worked. For the next few years, they did everything they could to look bigger than they were, wearing cheap suits, printing fancy business cards, even using phone numbers with extra zeros at the end. And then, it took off. Sequoia Capital flew all the way to Stockholm to invest. Klarna spread across Europe, then into America. They signed up Macy's, and they even signed up H&M. Yes, the same H&M, whose chairman had rejected them years before. By 2021, Klarna was worth $45 billion, the most valuable private tech company in all of Europe. Sebastian was having dinner with prime ministers and flying to conferences with Elon Musk. And then, it all fell apart. Interest rates went up, and the easy money dried up almost overnight. In 2022, Sebastian announced layoffs through a pre-recorded video. 700 people lost their jobs just by watching it. Then he posted a public spreadsheet with the names of the laid-off employees on LinkedIn, calling it a gold mine for recruiters. The internet did not take that well. A few months later, Klarna had to raise money at a valuation of just $6.7 billion, an 85% crash in barely over a year. And Sebastian's response to all of it, posted on Twitter, "What does not kill you makes you stronger." Then he bet everything on AI. He flew to San Francisco, met Sam Altman, and volunteered Klarna to be OpenAI's first big test case. Soon, he launched a chatbot doing the work of 700 customer service agents and told the world that AI could do every job humans do. But it backfired. The quality just wasn't there, and eventually Sebastian had to admit it himself and quietly start rehiring humans. Still, through all the chaos, the business itself kept growing. In September 2025, Sebastian Siemiatkowski stood on the balcony of the New York Stock Exchange and rang the opening bell. Klarna was now a public company worth $17 billion. Sebastian became a billionaire, and so did Victor.